So, how's that?
Yeah,
was
nailed
that
it.
pretty good?
Oh, so good.
Oh, pretty
We don't
good.
break copyright.
Yeah, this won't
Any
get
songs.
flagged.
We're not going to get flagged for anything. We can sing all the songs we want on here. Nice.
Nice.
If you guys didn't know what that was, which I know you do, it was the Godfather 2 theme. And it was different from the Godfather 1 theme. How, Rach?
I would love to hear Godfather 1. Do you have Godfather 1 ready?
Yeah. Now here, number 2.
I see.
It's
Da,
different.
da, da,
It's a little
da.
different. Yep.
Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da. Yeah.
Different orchestrations.
Very different.
Yeah. Yep. Well, folks, welcome back to episode number 2
Number 2.
of season 4.
4. Yep, I got you.
Oh, by the way, if you haven't already realized this, the Apple Podcasts app kind of sucks now. So you can find us on other places besides the Apple Podcasts. If you're like, oh, this stupid app is being dumb right now. Just went through a big update. It's kind of silly now. If you want to find a new podcast app, we're pretty much everywhere you could ever look, including Spotify. That's one of our big ones.
Yeah, that's
We're
an easy
on,
one. That's
we're on
easy.
YouTube. We're on we post these on Facebook. We're all over the place.
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're so
You have
important.
no excuse to ever miss an episode. Okay? Rach, what did we watch today?
Today. I'm so glad you clarified because I was.
Yeah, you almost said the. I know what you
almost was
almost
right,
said.
yes.
So I had to say
We
it.
watched, and correct me if I get the title wrong, The Godfather Part 2?
Yes.
Is that the in total title?
This is actually. Let's talk about this right now. They didn't want to put Part 2 as part of the title.
Oh.
They wanted it to just be called a different title altogether, and it was just part of the Godfather story or whatever it was.
Like a
but they
saga.
especially didn't want part in the title. So either Godfather 2, but this Part 2 thing, they tried to nix. And at the last second, they're like, just keep it in there, because that's what they had been calling it for so long. And then adding parts to your movies became like a thing after this.
No
This
way.
started a huge trend where people were like, hey, it's a sequel. Just say it's Part 2.
I love it that we're getting right down to brass tacks. There you go. Fact number 1.
Fact number 1, stick that in your pipe. Movie buffs.
Yeah, take that, guys.
Who accidentally stumbled upon this.
Boy, are you in for a treat.
Hey, so let's talk about what's Friday the 13th Part 8.
What?
What is that movie? Because Friday the 13th did all the parts.
Yeah.
Which one is Part 8?
What's its name?
Yeah, what's the subtitle?
I don't know.
Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason
Versus.
the volcano.
What
No.
is
Jason
versus
takes
Freddy, New York.
Manhattan.
Yep.
Close. So close.
So close.
Yep. Which would be an excellent Summers Off movie. You would have a blast on that one.
Well, why don't we watch it then?
Well, because I already know what we're going to do for our Halloween episode this year, and you're going to love it.
Do I have to wait another year?
Yeah, but you're going to really dig this one. I promise you, it's not a movie you're going to be scared of. You already love it. Don't worry about it. I already have the Christmas episode and the Halloween episode planned out.
What?
Sorry.
And if
you want to watch a movie, we'll do 2. If you want to watch Halloween Town or something.
Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to deal with in this partnership.
Yep.
He just runs
And this
away with it.
Partnership. Oh.
Partnership.
Godfather Part 2, Rach. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so part two, we leave off pretty much where we were at the end of part 1. So for those of you who don't know, the youngest son in the family of the Corleone, Michael, takes over the family business, and I believe as we open, it's on him essentially doing business, and we're kind of getting the sense like, yep, business as usual. Although he does claim that he's trying to make the family, in his words, legitimate. So I think he is trying to like get out of mob-related pieces, but it's just not gonna work for him. It's not working for you. Once you're in the family, there's only one way out. Pretty much.
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies.
So,
That's if you're sleeping with the fishes.
yeah. We didn't have a lot of like fun new little gimmicky things, did we? Like for all of like the wealth of the number one gave us as far as like taglines.
So many quotes, so many
There's like
infamous
no
moments.
taglines for this one.
The only one. I know it was you, Vito. Fredo.
Oh my gosh, you messed it up.
I know I said Vito. I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. Mwah.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
Lyle, don't jump ahead too far.
Oh, we can say that one all night, though. That's one of my favorite quotes of this whole series.
Yeah?
Yep. But you're right. We don't get near as many fun quotes in this movie, or
sure
like
don't.
iconic moments that you really hear about from pop culture and stuff. That really all comes from number one.
Yeah.
And not number two.
Yeah, so I don't think what else to tell you about the movie. So essentially, a lot of things go wrong for the family, and again, Michael has to end up, cleaning things up and getting rid of his enemies.
Yep.
And sometimes his enemies in this episode, part 2, are a little bit closer to home.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
In the family, he is betrayed by, spoiler alert, he's betrayed by his brother. His brother, Fredo.
Who is such a sweetheart. We talked about him last episode. He's such a sweetie.
Big old goof.
Yep.
Simultaneously, though, as we're watching that story unfold, we also get flashbacks of Don Vito back in the day when he is
Marlon Brando's character.
Marlon Brando's character, played by a very young, very slim.
Yes, super skinny.
Oh, I was trying to buy myself time. I blanked on his name.
Robert.
Robert De Niro.
Yep.
Thank you. I was like, oh no, it's not coming. Vamp, Rach Vamp. Coming to America and...
No, that's a different movie.
Coming to America.
Hey, there's going to be a second one of those.
I think it already came out.
Oh, cool.
I never saw the first one. Did you?
Yep, I have.
All right.
It's been a while, but I saw it, and I was not a huge fan of it, but people love it.
Yeah, all right.
People love it.
But it shows, like, basically his rise to power,
Yep.
Being an immigrant and taking over, essentially, as a mob boss in New York.
Yeah, you also see, like, his really, like, terrible beginnings where he's in Sicily, Vito is, or Robert De Niro, and you see, not him at this time because it's a kid version, but you see his, like, mom get wiped out, and you hear about this mob boss killing his dad, pretty much wipes out his whole family, wants to kill him as a kid.
Oh, my gosh.
And he runs away.
Ty.
What?
I just figured out who the guy at the end that he kills is.
Yeah, you didn't know?
No!
He got his revenge. He grew up just like the guy predicted and then killed him.
Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, so just really quick.
Yeah,
so the
go ahead,
movie, actually the movie starts there, right? The movie starts with the kid version of Marlon Brando in a funeral procession for his father. This Don in Italy had wiped him out.
And kills his older brother,
and
too.
He also kills his older brother, who's like maybe 12. We don't know. And so it's very sad. And basically then he kills his mom in front of him. And little Vito has to run away and like hide and whatnot. And I just now pieced it together that the guy that grown-up Robert De Niro goes over to kill is him.
Yep, he sticks the knife
I just
in him.
thought it was
You just
like
thought some random guy?
Honestly, that makes it so much better because I thought it was just like a business dealing, and I was like, this isn't very much like that character. Like, he doesn't kill people just like from a business standpoint.
For sure.
It's like
He's very measured. He's very
measured in the mob sense.
Yeah,
like
he
he
is.
only kills if he has to.
He's not just gonna kill you for rando. He's only gonna
it's not
kill you
for
if he
money.
feels like he needs to in order for his family and his loved ones to be in a better situation.
Yeah. In this sense, yeah.
But it's so
was
cool because that
revenge.
guy in the beginning of the movie, he
Oh.
goes, I have to kill your son because he's going to grow up and he's going to become revengeful and he's going to come back and kill me.
Yeah.
And then he tries to hunt him down, and it's like Shakespearean in a sense that he does grow up and he comes back and he kills him.
He killed him. Oh, and that makes sense why that he was whispering his father's name to
Yep.
him. And oh my
Yep.
gosh, I just, whoa. Whoa.
Hey, it's okay.
Hey, okay.
It's okay.
We're back. Part 2.
Yeah, so the big thing this movie's known for is this like dual plot line that's going on, right? You have what's going on forward from Godfather 1 with Michael Corleone or Corleone, depending on who you listen to in the movie.
Depending on what
because
part of Italy you're
we
from.
literally heard it said both ways throughout the entire movie because we were really listening to it this time. And then you have this Vito storyline that's happening in the past. Yeah, so that's like kind of what sets this movie apart from a lot of other movies and why people love it so much.
Yeah.
So I watched this movie just like the first one in high school, back to back. These were very much like if I was going to watch the first one, I was going to watch the second one like the next night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
I'm very cultured,
Because
babe.
this one is also 3+
This
hours.
one's more. This one's longer. This is the longest of the 3.
Yeah.
So the first one's like 2 hours and 50-something minutes. I think it's like 56. This one's like 3 hours and 10 minutes. And then the third one's like 2 hours and 50 minutes. So it's still long.
Yeah, it's very long.
Yep. I think the first one's the one that flies the most. Like, I think it goes the fastest. And then I think number 3 feels the longest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into it a little later. We're going to go into 3 a little bit for those folks. They're just like, yeah, you guys ever going to do 3? No.
We're not going to watch 3.
But we can kind of get into it during this episode.
Okay.
Hey, Rach, now you explained last episode that you had saw that rotten documentary that spoiled a bunch of things for you and that you knew about 50% of the plot for Godfather 1.
Yes.
What percentage of this plot did you know?
Okay. Again, it was 50%. But because the documentary that I watched put it in chronological order, I only knew the stuff about the young Vito making his way in America. I knew all of that stuff, except I forgot a lot of it, obviously, as you heard listeners just now. I think I missed some key points.
You say that, but you told me off this podcast, you're like, oh yeah, is Robert De Niro in these movies?
I can't remember.
So you didn't remember that Robert De Niro was in.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I still knew the story just because I couldn't remember what young hot Italian actor did it.
Oh, you thought Robert De Niro was pretty hot?
No, I just mean like hot in the sense like he's on fire around this time. You know?
Let's get into this right now. This is the meat and potatoes. This is what people want to hear. Who's hotter between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in this movie?
I would say De Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just the height thing, although that is
I know that's a factor
little
for you.
bit of a factor. Yeah, I think young Robert De Niro is pretty attractive in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What do you mean? Oh, okay.
Oh, I just think he looks so skinny in this. I think he's better looking later on down the road, like in Casino and stuff. Like he's pretty hot in that. But yeah, in this movie, he's just like I know you're like giggling, but he's like a string bean, and he's got that goofy mustache and that slick back hair.
He doesn't have a mustache for all of it.
Just for parts of it.
Just for like the last part of
yeah,
it.
We're gonna talk about why he has that mustache. Too.
Oh, there's a story behind that.
I've got some stories behind that one, baby. So let's get into a little bit of the pre-production for this guy.
Okay.
So this one also written by Mario Puzo. Or Puzo, we don't know. We're just gonna stick to Puzo because it sounds cool to me.
It sounds cool when you say it.
So Mario started writing this before the first movie came out. So if you remember back to our first episode, he made that Mafia book. He sold it to Paramount for $12,000. They said, if we ever make a movie, we'll give you another $50,000. Well, when they picked it up for that $12,000, he immediately started on number 2.
Nice.
So he's like, I'm going to cook another one out right now.
Just in cases.
And so, this book was already completed, and it was called No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Nope.
No, what were you going to say?
Mafia 2.
What was the subtitle?
There's no subtitle.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
There you go.
There's always a subtitle.
Vito Takes
Manhattan. No, the book was called The Death of Michael Corleone.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
But that didn't happen.
I know.
What?
And I probably could have. I just didn't search hard enough to find out if that was the original intention of that book, or if that was just like a title that they gave it, and it was more like.
Is it symbolic?
I think it's more existential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the death of his soul because he kind of was a really crappy person at the end of it.
He falls even farther into the abyss.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think
kills
that's what
his
it was.
brother in the end.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it. So that was the name of the title. And when he sold the rights to it after the first movie had become this huge success, Francis Ford Coppola did not want to be a part of the second movie.
Oh.
He had we talked about all the terrible times he had with the studio.
Stressful, for
casting.
sure.
He had people shadowing and they were trying to fire
The
him.
mob.
Paramount Pictures was a huge pain in the ass. So many problems. He's like, I don't want to do this. So he actually suggested, because he was just so disinterested in doing another one of these projects, he said, there's a young up-and-coming director who just made a movie called Mean Streets that I think you guys should hire instead. Mean Streets came out in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take a guess on who that up-and-coming director was?
Was Robert De Niro in Mean Streets?
He was.
I don't know. Is it a guy who does mob movies?
It is.
Is it Scorsese?
It is Scorsese.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so he said, up-and-coming young guy, Martin Scorsese.
Loves a good
He's
mob
your
movie.
dude. You want that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he tried to kick it to him, but it ended up not happening. And it's kind of funny, yeah, because De Niro ends up being in this, too, so they have that kind of comic connection. So Coppola eventually agrees to do the film. They're like, hey, we know we want you. But he goes, I'm going to do this, I want some different stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I don't want to just continue on this story, the death of Michael Corleone. I don't want to just keep telling the story about Michael and the mob.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell more than that story. In fact, I'm more interested in talking about a prequel, going into this Vito storyline, talking about Robert De Niro's character.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the compromise they made. They're like, okay, what if you told both stories? What if you did both at the same time? And he was like, yeah, I like that. But here's what else I'm going to need from you. And this is unheard of for the time from a director.
Mm-hmm.
I want $1 million. And he thought Paramount would never agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
But Paramount's like, yeah, we made so much money on that first one. We'll pay you $1 million.
You got it.
You got it. It's going to happen.
Nice.
Yeah. So those two stipulations were agreed upon, and they continued forward. Now, one thing that Francis Ford wanted to do, though, and I'm really curious to hear what you think about this. Marlon Brando was 47 when he did the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie takes place 2 years later. Not chronologically, but they filmed it only 2 years after that.
Yeah.
In 1972. And he wanted to cast a 49-year-old Marlon Brando as the Robert De Niro character, as younger Vito. What do you think?
Oh, God. I wish we could go back in time and give it to a young Marlon Brando and have him do it because, I mean...
A streetcar version of Marlon Brando?
Yes. Oh, can you imagine? Marlon Brando is so captivating as the Godfather, just in general. And I think that Robert De Niro does a good job. But yeah, that it would have worked, especially given their lack of CGI. And thing we could do that now technically, but it probably would still be a little cheese.
But in the first movie, they take him and he's 47, and they make him look at least 67. They add 20 years of age to him.
Yeah.
Do you think they couldn't have subtracted 20 years?
Here's what I'll say: I would need to see his hairline.
Yeah.
I know there are wigs, and I know we can fix that, but let me just take a look at his hairline, and I'll let you know if I would have believed it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, when it comes to aging,
Yeah.
hairlines are way more important than wrinkles, skin damage.
For men, I mean, I think it's a big giveaway. I mean, and it's not a bad thing. Getting older is great. But think about the guy. I don't know his name. What's Tommy's name? The actor's name.
Tommy.
Tom.
Oh, Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Yep.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
All of his hair is almost gone, and maybe he had some hair pieces in the first Godfather, but he's essentially bald on top in this one 2 years later.
Well, I think what they tried to do, because he has a couple little wispy things in the top, I think they took some of the shoulder and back hair off of Sonny or James Caan, and they kind of pasted it on there to give him a little coverage.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't want to get sunburned up there.
No, I mean, they're probably filming in Los Angeles for some things with the or Las Vegas for those scenes. Yeah, it was really important, I'm sure. So Brando actually turned it down. He said, I don't think I can, as a 49-year-old, play a 29-year-old, which is how old the character was by the end of that section. Yeah. So that's what they had settled on. Thoughts on Robert De Niro?
I think he's good. I think he does a good Marlon Brando impression. There were times I thought that he probably could have made it more his own. He didn't need to already be raspy because it's like we can just assume that some of that is just age,
Yep,
right? With
for
the
sure.
Godfather. So
And there's that time he gets shot and he like has like the thing around his throat where he can barely talk too, Brando.
oh yeah,
In number
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So like De Niro doesn't have to explain
Yeah.
that.
So there were a couple of times when I thought like, oh, we don't need to lean that heavy into the Godfather accent, but no, for the most part, I thought he was good.
Yeah.
I thought he's young. He's good.
Mm-hmm. Young, hot.
Well, he's so young and so hot, so of course he's good. Robert De Niro's so hot right now.
So we talked a little bit about his casting in Godfather 1 last episode, about the trade that happened.
Yeah.
By the way, I found the movie for you. So just to recap, if you didn't listen to Godfather 1, there was a trade between Pacino had taken another role, and Francis Ford wanted him, and he said, I'll trade you De Niro, who was going to be a smaller part in Godfather 1, so I can get Pacino back for Michael. Well, the movie that he had traded for was this movie. It was called The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. And it was like a comedy, a mob movie. So that was the flick that he traded for. But we should be happy that he made that trade because then he was able to audition for Vito and get this role.
He could do both.
Yeah.
The
And
best of both.
He gets this huge thing. And he gets to
Truly.
be in the gang that couldn't shoot straight, which I'm sure is just a knockdown slobber fest.
I bet it's a blast. Just
Yeah,
a blasty blast.
For sure. For sure. What'd you think of Al Pacino going from movie number 1 to movie number 2?
History's taught us anything. It says you can kill anyone.
This is gonna give some of my opinion away.
Do you want to save it?
No, it's
Okay.
fine. We'll get into it. I liked him better in the first one.
Me too.
I think there's just more to work with from a character arc standpoint in the
Mhm.
first one. Yeah, I found him to be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cold, and like I thought he was good as the role, and it wasn't necessarily his fault, but I think just a lot of things I didn't need in this second one. Like we talked about how the first one breathes,
Yep.
and so you've got moments of fast pace and you're on your edge of your seat and you're suspensed, and then you get like moments of relaxing and
Seeing the family.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I thought that balance was really nice and made that 3 hours fly. I didn't feel that way with this one. I think it like held its breath at times, and I just
Ooh, that's good, Rach.
is it
Instead of
is it good?
breathed, it held its breath.
It's held its breath until it couldn't anymore, and
And then it gasped.
and then it gasped.
This movie sometimes was gasping for breath.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought he was more interesting in the first one.
Yep.
Because he has all that internal conflict, and the second one is like he was already kind of on his way to being the devil.
Have you ever seen the movie with Al Pacino, The Devil's Advocate?
No.
It's with Keanu Reeves, plays like he's the devil.
Who's the devil?
Al Pacino. And
Oh,
Keanu Reeves is like
classic.
this guy, I think he's a lawyer or something. He's like,
How
I
is
can give you everything. And he's like training him to like help him with his business dealings and all this stuff.
I feel like
He's like corporate America,
Yeah.
Pacino, isn't it?
Has Pacino played the devil before in other films?
Besides
feel
that
like-
one? I don't know. I can only think of that one.
Okay. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm like picturing like Adam Sandler and Little Nicky, and like is Al Pacino the devil in that one?
I have no
Probably
idea
not.
who plays the devil in Little Nicky. Little Nicky is a movie that was a one and doneer for me, and I
Oh,
thought
of course.
I'm never gonna watch this movie again. But my little brother loved Little Nicky.
No.
He would play Little Nicky almost every weekend. It would be on the TV at some point.
Oh my god.
And he'd play that. He would play that a Christmas movie that Adam Sandler made where he like snowboards through the mall or whatever.
What?
13 Days of Christmas or
I don't know
He's just
that
like
one.
a punk kid who like is snowboarding everywhere. I'm like,
Hey, you
oh.
punk kid, you can't snowboard near this is the
Yeah,
mall.
I'm Adam Sandler and I can hook up with any babe I want because I'm Adam Sandler. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Little Nicky definitely was on the repertoire. Trevor, you should be ashamed of yourself. So Pacino, one of the things that's kind of interesting about him, he had turned into such a little dick in the course of 2 years.
Oh no.
After Godfather 1, he's up for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
He makes this crazy film that like boosts his career big time. He had just been a Broadway star before that, and just like the world opens up for him.
Sure.
And he read the script, and he immediately sent his lawyers over to talk to Francis Ford and said like that he's not going to do it. You're gonna have to find
wow.
somebody else.
Whoa.
And Francis Ford's like, what's wrong? And they're like, he doesn't like the script. He thinks that it's just not interesting. He doesn't have anything that he wants to play with in there. He just says that it's a bad script, and he's not going to do it. And so Francis Ford spent like all night rewriting the script. He sent it back over to Pacino, and Pacino looked at it, and he was like, okay, I can probably make this happen. But he's just always kind of a little bit of a dick the entire time on set. And I've got some stories coming up here in a little bit when we talk about filming that he kind of acts like a little douchebag as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he had gotten pretty big for his britches. And he's probably right around our age right now. Lower mid-30s. 33.
Lower mid-30s.
Hey, remember Luca Brasi, who we talked about last movie?
Yes, the guy who slept with the fishes.
Luca Brasi's going to be sleeping with the fishes. So he was the wrestler.
Yes.
Originally.
Yes. Yeah.
He wasn't the original guy that cast as Luca Brasi, though. I actually didn't know that for that format. It was in this one. So there was another guy who was originally cast as Luca Brasi, but he turned it down. And I don't know why he turned it down, but he turned it down at the time. So they went to the wrestler guy. Well, this original Luca Brasi guy came into audition for The Godfather Part 2 because Godfather 1 was such a huge hit. And in the audition, he brings in a box of pastries, and then he pulls out a gun and points it at Francis Ford, and he starts firing it, but it's a cap gun.
My God.
And Francis Ford thought it was awesome. He's like, that was amazing. Can't believe you did that.
You're crazy.
And he didn't cast him, though. But he was like, that was awesome. So the Luca...
Security.
Yep. Amazing. You're out of here.
God.
They wanted to bring Clemenza back. Do you remember which one's Clemenza from the first movie?
Nope, I do not.
Clemenza's
Do you
the guy.
remember?
Of course I do. Clemenza's the guy who is carrying that box at the end. He kicks those guys into the elevator, pulls out a shotgun, and starts blasting
Is he a
them.
bigger guy?
He's a bigger
He's
guy.
a bigger
He
guy.
makes
Yep.
pasta earlier in the
Yes.
movie.
The
Yep.
one you start with that. The guy who makes the pasta.
Because I figured you know the elevator shotgun guy more than the pasta guy.
The pasta scene is very cool. I was listening very closely
I
to
know.
his recipe.
Take a little bit of sugar. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's good.
I also like
good to
that
know.
scene. That's a good point. But Clemenza, he was kind of a fan favorite. People kind of love that character.
Sure.
They wanted him to come back for Godfather Part 2. And he had lost 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And they told him, like, you have to put that weight back on.
Oh.
And he said, no, that's too unhealthy. I'm not
Yeah.
going to put the weight back on. Like, well, if you're not going to put the weight back on, you're not going to be in this movie. And so he didn't put the weight on, and they didn't put him in the movie.
They couldn't even have fat suited him up.
The movie takes place 7 years after the first one. First one's in 45. This one's in 52.
Yeah, can't we write that in like he's watching
lost
his health?
weight.
Like he
Oh,
maybe we can make it a joke like
Clemenza,
no
see
more
you-
cannolis
yeah.
for you. Something like
sure.
that.
Yep.
Something like that.
Hey, you taking the sugar out of the pasta, I see. Yeah, for sure. You could say a lot of different things, and boom,
A
you're
new
good.
tagline could have been real.
No more cannolis for you. New tag.
Again,
Godfather Part 2. No more cannolis for you.
Yeah, we're not in charge of the taglines, but you get the idea. Something could have happened.
So the guy who ends up, who is a member of the family, and he has kind of a raspy voice too. He's got a big mustache. He's like, yeah, so Michael, I'm here. Why are you making me wait, Michael? You know what I'm talking about? He plays, I think he's like a cousin to Vito, to Marlon Brando's character. He slits his wrists at the end of the movie in the bathtub.
Yes.
I'm making an offer you don't refuse.
That guy.
That guy.
That guy who is one of the Corleone family.
Yeah.
He was his part was supposed to be like divvied up between Clemenza, the big guy with the elevator shotgun, and his part. So that whole storyline was supposed to involve both of these two characters.
Oh, okay.
But then when Clemenza didn't come back, they're like, okay, we're going to push it even farther into this guy's character and like make him even more involved in the story.
Okay. Interesting.
You don't know by chance who James Cagney is, do you?
I know that name.
Do you?
James.
Have you ever heard of the movie Public Enemy? It's okay. So Public Enemy is one of the very first mob movies. Came out in like the 30s.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal when it comes out. James Cagney's a film star. He's been in other stuff, but he's really known for these mob movies.
Yeah.
Francis Ford wanted him so badly to be in this movie, so then he could have like this old mob star to be in it too. He was going to play like one of the advisors and stuff, but he wouldn't come out of retirement for it.
Oh, who does he play in Public Enemy?
I think he's the main guy.
Yeah, but isn't it like a...
He's
a biopic kind of like it's a.
he plays what's his name from Chicago.
Yep.
Who his brother was the sheriff in Homer, Nebraska. Oh gosh.
Yep.
Somebody.
Jeffrey.
No, there's a book. Why did so and so clean my socks or something like that? They read it in 7th grade.
Oh dear.
Well,
but yes, I have
most famous mobster in the world.
most famous mobster of all time.
Al Capone.
No, it's not
Yep.
Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Really?
That's who I meant.
Oh.
Al
I was thinking of
Capone-
something different.
Al Capone washes my socks. Have you ever heard that book or something like that? It's like Al Capone washes my clothes. Story of Al Capone. It's like he's in Alcatraz and there's like a guard there and he has to wash the guard's clothes and the guy's a young guard and he's like, Al Capone's really nice and all this stuff. They read it in 7th grade.
Okay. Let me say so.
But anyways, that's who he plays. Who do you think he played?
I can't tell you because I don't
Describe
know.
him.
I'll Google it at intermission.
Oh,
at
okay.
intermission, and I'll tell you. I'll let you
Which
tell you
this
later.
movie had an intermission.
Yeah. We had to watch this in 2 parts, ladies and gents. We could not get through this all in one night. It was too much. So we did the first 2+ hours.
Yeah, we did 2 hours and then
2
hour
hours,
15 the
and then
second
an hour
night.
15, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We got started a little late. We didn't start watching
Well,
until
we
like 8
podcasted
o'clock.
before. We watched these movies back to back for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Back to back.
Yep. So you won't hear these for like a week, but we did it right away. All right. Now, I told you to look for somebody last podcast. I said there's a famous actor / acting theorist / acting teacher who's in this movie by the name of Lee Strasberg.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a guess on who Lee Strasberg was?
I forgot that was my homework, and I'm remembering it
Gee,
now.
dang it, Rach.
Let me guess. So, is it a quick part, real quick?
I don't know. It could be.
Uh,
Yeah,
Is it or isn't it?
sure.
What are some clues? Like, what's Lee Strasberg's like big thing
What do you mean?
from a technique standpoint?
Okay,
Like, what
he did-
does he preach?
Yep.
And I'll tell you.
Emotional recall.
Okay.
He does the whole thing where you tie your own memories in, so you're not in the life of the character. You're in your own body, in your own life, your own emotional history,
Uh-huh.
and you recall those events from your personal past to then create an emotional response on stage as a character. It can be really unsafe. A lot of people don't like it.
Sure.
It can also be really useful to unlock an emotional spectrum you didn't know you were aware of.
Got it. He was the senator,
Which senator?
the main senator.
Oh, the one that's at the beginning,
Yep.
the Las Vegas senator.
Yep, and that they frame later on.
No, incorrect.
Is he a different senator?
Also incorrect. You got one more guess.
He's the bartender.
Which bartender?
Yeah, exactly.
No, he played Hyman Roth.
We're bigger than U.S. Steel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
And so he was the acting coach for Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Oh, wow.
They loved him. Al Pacino
On
specifically
set.
got him this job,
Yeah?
and because he wanted him to be a part of this show
yeah,
with
I
him.
wanted to act opposite him.
But Strasberg got really, really sick
Oh.
before filming,
Mm-hmm.
and so they changed that Hyman Roth character to also be like on his
on
deathbed.
his deathbed.
Yep, and really sick.
Just in cases. Just in case we need to be like, oh, he's dead. Okay, well,
Yep.
we use what we got.
So they made him very old, very fragile.
He was. Oh,
Mhm.
interesting. He had a scene which I kind of liked where he and Al Pacino are meeting at his home, and like his wife's in the other room, like making him like a tuna fish sandwich, and like just the way that he's sitting in his chair watching the
Yeah,
game.
he
Like,
has his
he's like,
leg up over the
he's got
arm
his
of the
leg
chair.
up over the arm of the chair, and he's like in his like late 80s. It looks like, like he's just like this very old guy, but he just looks like a teenager just watching the
Yep.
baseball game. He's like, I love baseball.
Such a Strasberg thing to do. He probably remembered that from his personal history watching baseball, and he thought, like, I'm going to do this because it's from my real life physicality when I watch baseball games.
Makes sense to me.
Wow. What a guy.
He was very simple.
I actually thought he was really good.
Yeah. I mean that as a compliment, just so everyone knows. Like when I say simple, I don't mean that as
He was
a diss.
really simple.
He was very simple. I'm boring. No, I usually I like simple.
So what's the difference between his simplicity and Al Pacino, who you said was boring?
but Al Pacino's not always boring. I don't know. I don't know that it was even Al Pacino. If it was just more just the character
Mm-hmm.
of Michael. Like, he had moments, he had scenes that were like really great. Like the brother stuff was like really great, and he and the scene that he has with his wife when she tells him that she didn't miscarry. Diane Keaton tells him that she didn't have a miscarriage, that she aborted their child because she didn't want her son to be like him again, or just didn't want to bring another kid into which was just like, what I'll say is, though, like, as intense as like that scene was written wise, I don't know. I wanted like a little bit more from both of them.
I think Diane Keaton is weak in this movie.
A little bit.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think she's weak sauce in this movie, and she's too overly emotional, and then she doesn't have enough layers, and she just plays like an emotional wash. And then I think Al Pacino with his dead soul act that I think he's trying to do, where he's like becoming less human, which could be interesting, but he starts too dead inside to start with.
That's it. That's what it is.
No.
It's almost like he's already dead when we started, and I don't see like any of like, I don't see like the charismatic piece that I saw with like Marlon Brando at that same point. Like Marlon Brando is just like, and again, they're different dons, right? They have different philosophies, but his character is still so warm, and like, so like you're still on the edge of your seat the whole time because you don't know what he's gonna do, right?
Sure.
But I don't feel that way when at the very beginning with Al Pacino in this role. Like you said, I feel like he's already dead inside, but we have 3 hours left. You can't be dead yet. Your brother hasn't even portrayed you yet.
For sure. And that's where I think his mistake was. And I'm not going to blame this on the writing because I know he blamed it on the writing aspects of it.
Pacino did?
A little bit. But I mean, this movie is very well received. We'll get into that later. But Al Pacino at first, before he wanted to take the role, he had major problems with the script. So I think if you brought this up to him, he would say, well, that's on the writing. And I would say, no, I think it's in your portrayal. I think you needed to start, because at the end of the first movie, we see a man who, like we said, it's about a man coming back to his family and realizing, like, here's what I need to do to stay. I'm fully committed to this world because I'm fully committed to my family. And I will do whatever it takes for my family to be set in a position to succeed. And when we see him at the beginning of this movie, I don't get that anymore. And I know 7 years has passed, but I already get a man who is more concerned about himself and his own ego than he is about his family, rather than somebody who thinks he's a family man, but then has an assassination attempt, then has his brother betray him, then has his wife get an abortion, and each thing just makes him more and more dead inside till the end where he's like, I'm not even a human being anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see, and we never got to see that journey.
Well said.
Ha ha! Take that, movie podcasts! So, to talk a little bit about some filming, DeNiro went to Sicily for 3 months, and he studied the language for 4 months to get all the Italian down pat and to even work on the dialect.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounded real good. In fact, I kept thinking like, wow, DeNiro knows Italian. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was legit.
He
it sounded so good.
sounded great.
From my ears.
Yep. Because I was actually listening for it, having done the research, and I was like, okay, let's see how you do. And I was like, oh my God, it's really good.
Yeah.
E você ci avvadario travaglio me. E você è stato sempre buono con me da quando ero picciriccio. E mi dava renzi ero come un pazzo. E io la ringrazio.
He also, later in the movie, this is part of his like method training as well. He gained weight as the movie went along, because they kind of filmed this sequentially just like the first one. So he put on pounds as the filming progressed.
Sure.
And then he started to wear special dental things to give him more of that like bulldoggy look, and also give him that weirder kind of speech impediment kind of thing that he does.
Interesting.
So he tried to like morph his whole mouth shape and physicality to fit the Brando interpretation.
Well, I think that's really great. Well, I'll say is I didn't play off for me because I did not notice, but that's great for you.
I didn't notice it.
I didn't notice the pounds. I didn't notice the dental work. Nothing. So
I didn't either.
But I mean, if that's what helps you feel like, yeah, I got this, I'm nailing this, then go for it.
But
man.
he's always been like that strange attention to detail. Do you remember in Goodfellas, he'd like carry around $5,000 cash with him all the time?
Oh, yeah,
and he'd pick out these
that's
really
right.
expensive watches, and he had a new watch in every scene that you saw him in.
That's right.
He's just like kind of like that.
He's kind of odd like that.
And then in The Intern, he picked out a different tie for every scene with Anne Hathaway.
Dad will never let me live it down that we had to watch The Intern, and it was a terrible movie.
Horrible.
It was a really bad movie.
One of the worst movies I've seen in recent history.
Yeah, also one of the worst movies to watch with your parents.
Yeah, there's that scene where they're like
it was just
simulating sex,
weird.
but he's not giving her. He's just rubbing her feet, I think. But it sounds like they're having sex, and it's really
weird.
awkward.
It was all awkward.
Yep. I'd rather just see him do it at this point. So you mentioned the mustache earlier.
Yeah.
So De Niro was like fighting with this idea: do I grow a mustache or do I not grow a mustache? So what he did in order to decide, because he could not, he's like, oh, what do I do?
Ooh.
He flipped a coin,
Yeah.
and the coin told him, grow that mustache,
Mustache,
baby.
grow
We
it.
want the mustache, baby.
I like that he got to choose and that didn't like fall to like a costumer or the makeup artist or I don't know, the director.
Oh my gosh. We have I'm going to say this on air. We have the
Careful.
biggest
No
dick
names.
of a costume designer ever that I've been working with the last 3 years. And if I just would decided to grow a mustache, he would have a heart attack. He'd be so mad.
He would be mad.
Yep, no way. Hey, that old boat that he comes across Robert De Niro comes across as a kid.
Yeah.
I guess not Robert De Niro, but Vito comes across as a
Yeah.
kid, that old boat.
Mm-hmm.
That is an actual old-ass boat,
Oh.
and it's in Philadelphia, and you can eat at it because it's a restaurant.
What? It just gets better and better.
I know.
I can eat at it too? No way.
It's funny because I think you'd be like, yep, okay, don't really care. That's all right. And then when I told you could eat at it, I could already tell that you were like,
You saw the light in my eyes?
we could go there.
Well, that sounds cool.
That sounds really cool.
I could eat at it, huh? Well, I like eating at it.
It was built in 1904. That was a legitimate old ship.
Dang.
Hey, who do you think the senators were in the courtroom scene where Michael Corleone is getting interrogated by all these senators? He's on trial.
Who do I think, like famous old senators from the 60s you want me to start naming off?
Do you think they were real senators?
They might have been based on senators
Okay.
that at some point had to go through trial with the mob.
Sure.
What do you mean, sure? Yes or no? And what is this?
What is, maybe you're on trial.
Are you trying to leave me? Are you asking me a question?
Rach.
Or
Have you ever worked with Michael Corleone?
I have never heard that name before in my life.
Have you ever heard somebody refer to him as the Godfather by chance?
Oh, Godfather, that's just a term of endearment.
So those guys, all those old senators, they're old, like, there are people who are really high up in Hollywood. They were from all different walks of life. Like some people were costumers. Some people were like directors from other areas. Some people were cinematographers. They were like all these old Hollywood heads of like these different departments and eras and stuff that they were just like throwing them in there.
They
Like,
just wanted to be in the
Yep,
movie, so they're
just-
like, can we
just
be in
sit
the
up
panel,
there,
maybe?
sit up there on the panel. You don't have to have any lines, and you're one of the senators.
That's very interesting.
Hey, you know that musical that they go to in the Vito flashbacks? He goes and sits in a
At the
musical.
beginning, yep, he watches like a little vaudeville show at the beginning. Yeah, it's got like a...
Can you sing a song from it for us?
Oh, solo mio, my ma. He sings like Mamma Mia a lot. And
Yeah,
it
he
kind of
does.
sounds like a little offensive when I do it, but he does.
He does sing Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah. He's
I'm
like,
so sad.
I think he's sad because his mom's over in Italy.
His
still.
mom is over in Italy, and maybe she's dead.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he almost kills himself.
And he almost kills himself.
That musical
Yeah,
is an actual musical
I believe it.
that was written by Francis Ford's grandfather.
Oh.
It never was performed,
Uh-huh.
but it was written,
Until now.
and he was like, I want to put this in my movie. It's an
Wow.
ode to my grandpa.
He gives just a lot of, like, throws all the bones out to his family. Like,
Yeah.
his sister's in it
Which his
still.
sister's still doing great
I
too.
thought she was great in it. I thought Connie was great.
Michael,
You fly around the world with men who don't care for you and use you like a whore?
you're not my
And
father!
what do you come to me for?
Because I need money.
And if you saw her in that movie number 3, you would think like Connie's a good actress.
She's good. I hope she gets her credit.
Yeah, that to me is not like nobody should be like nepotism. That's like no, she earned that role. She's good.
I think she's good.
Yeah. What was that, Rach?
I think she's good.
Yeah, I think she's good.
I think she's good.
So the name of that musical, you want to take a guess?
Nah.
It's called Senza Mom.
Senza Mama.
Senza Mom.
What does it
I don't
mean?
know. It's two
What does it
words.
mean?
It means send your mom over here.
Over here.
Now, they had to redo a bunch of scenes from the Vito flashbacks for this movie because there was something wrong with the costumes.
Oh.
Do you want to take a guess of what it might be?
Did they look like they were from the 70s by chance?
I mean, maybe on accident, but there was something wrong with the pants.
Were they just the wrong era of pants?
They were,
They
but
were?
something specific made them the wrong era.
Pockets.
No.
They had pockets
Good-
and they weren't invented yet.
Really good guess.
Zippers?
Yes.
Ah!
They should have had buttons. And actually one of the musicians that
Yep.
were playing in a scene
Uh-huh.
noticed it and was like, "Hey, those shouldn't be zippers. Those should be buttons." And this random musician pointed it out, and they're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
"Oh my, do research on that." Like, yeah, it should be buttons. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we got to reshoot all these
Where
scenes."
the heck is our costumer? Come here. Oh, we don't have one because everyone gets to choose if they have mustaches or not.
So the button was invented in 1913.
No kidding.
Yeah. Have you ever wore button pants for like a show or anything? Or I don't know, girls, do you ever
I
wear button
used to
pants?
have a pair of silver jeans. Do you remember silver jeans?
No.
They were like, you remember like Lucky Brand jeans?
Yes, they
Very
had the
popular.
little smiley on them.
Yeah, I remember like in, for us, it would be middle school, high school. Those were like expensive jeans.
For sure.
Mine
A
were
huge deal.
Mine were hand-me-downs that I got at a garage sale.
I
so.
never got them because I was poor.
Well, you were a boy too. They were mostly for girls.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But a pair of those had buttons instead of a zipper.
Ew.
Maybe ew.
It'd be terrible.
It took a long time. They're not like super curved. Like
Yeah.
it's not like one that you had to like. You needed to plan ahead if you were going to go to the bathroom. Like it can't be like I gotta go,
Yeah, it
gotta
can't be a
go.
split
It's like
second thing.
brrr. Actually they did fall apart pretty quickly. And then I think
okay.
about it.
So I had them for a show. I can't remember what show it was. But, I mean, I probably had them for a couple shows. But, yeah, I had button trousers, and they are such a pain in the ass. And for the exact reason that you mentioned, if you have a quick change, too, disaster. Just the worst.
Catastrophe.
Oh. So, speaking of britches, though, and Pacino getting too big for his.
Oh, look at you.
Can I get a segue?
Segue.
So, during filming, whenever something was taking very long, which Francis Ford was known to be kind of a slower filmmaker, but he did fun things like the wedding, what we talk about, where he choreographed the whole wedding and he just shot it in sequence. So he was crafty, but he would take a long time to film a lot of stuff. And actually, the shoot for this one went from 62 days for number one to 104 days for number two. So they added on 42 days to the shooting, and
I can tell.
and only added on 15 minutes of film time. So Pacino would get really pissed off when Francis Ford was taking a long time, and he would just shout, I don't know how to say this word. Is it Serpico? But he'd say, Serpico only took 19 days. So he would yell it. It was the movie that he did in between Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. Did really well. It was like a FBI investigation movie. But he'd yell about this other movie only taking 19 days whenever he'd get pissed off.
That's kind of, that's so rude.
Yeah.
What a dick.
For sure. He's kind of a little douche.
Is there other things that you have that he did that
That's
were kind
all-
of like...
That's all I
like,
have besides like
big-headed.
basic decorum on set.
That just sucks because like Coppola like went to bat for him
Yeah.
several times.
He
like
started his
risked
career.
Yeah, and for you to come back and be like, well, I don't know, like I just can't justify that.
And you know what I think also doesn't justify it? The fact that you and I both agree that he's worse in this movie.
Yeah.
And so there's that part too. It's like the ends don't justify the means here. Like you don't get to be a diva but be awesome. Like because you weren't that awesome.
Yeah.
So it's,
There you have it.
I knocked over Rich's water.
Oh, geez,
so
oh, geez.
suck a big one.
Okay, keep it clean.
All right. So the film comes out December 12th of 1974.
Is it a Christmas movie?
I don't know, Rach. There were Christmas things in it.
There was some snow in it because it took place mostly in Lake Tahoe.
And when they go to Cuba, there were Christmas lights
It
up
was a
because they were
New
celebrating the New Year's Eve
Eve,
party.
You're right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
just like the first movie and Die Hard, if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, this one's also a Christmas movie.
I would agree with that logic. Yeah, if you make the argument for one, you have to make
If
the
you make
argument
it for
the
Die
other.
Hard, Lethal
have-
Weapon, Godfather 1 and 2.
You have to.
Yep, all Christmas movies. That's the way we want to roll. The movie, so the original one, cost $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
This one, do you want to take a guess how much it cost?
Probably like double it.
Okay, so $12 million.
Is that what double that is? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I don't want to say that much. I would say 90 mil.
90? So it went from 6 million to 90
Oh, you said
million?
6. 9. Does that double it? No. 9.
9 million. Okay.
9.
Well, you should have stuck to your first one. It cost $13 million.
Whoa. Whoa.
The original made 133 million.
Mm-hmm.
How much did this one make?
Probably 200 million.
It only made 47 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Dropped big time in the amount of money it pulled in.
Yeah, okay.
There's not a whole lot of box office stats that I could find for this one. Besides that,
Mm-hmm.
one of the sources said that it was number 1 for a long time, but that's it.
Sure.
How long that means, I don't know. So the tagline for this one, for the last movie, it was I'll make you an offer you can't refuse or something like that.
Yeah.
This one, it's all the power on earth can't change destiny. What do you think?
I wish someone would have said it in the movie. Like, I wish Fredo would have, said,
Mike, all the power on earth can't change destiny.
that was a good Fredo impression. Okay, maybe not Fredo. Maybe he's not a strong enough vehicle for the tagline. The
Robert Duvall character.
Oh, he would have been a good one. I was gonna say, Hyman Roth.
Oh,
Your Dennis
Strasberg.
Strasberg should have said it.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have stuck.
Yeah, that would have.
Hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes score. The first one, to remind you, got a
97.
Yep, nailed it. And the audience score is 98.
98
Do you want to take a guess for this one?
for the audience, or
No, for the Rotten Tomatoes score.
I mean, I think it was well received, but was it as well received as the first one? I don't think it should be, but I'll say 94%.
Close. 96. So it only dropped 1%. Audience score also only dropped 1%. 96, 97.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So this is also, just to throw this into perspective, the same exact score, audience and critics, as Goodfellas, which we will compare and contrast soon. So let that kind of ruminate a little bit.
Okay.
Here's the critics' consensus. Drawing on strong performances by Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, Francis Ford Coppola's continuation of Mario Puzo's Mafia saga set new standards for sequels that have yet to be matched or broken. Thoughts? You don't have to get into your thoughts yet, but thoughts on that critics' consensus?
Well, how can I get into my
Then
thoughts and not
let's save it, baby. Okay. So, this is the first time anybody has won an Oscar award for performance for playing the same exact character.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, like James Bond's,
Yeah.
no James Bond's won.
Yeah, he's...
The only other person who's been nominated was John Wayne and Jeff Bridges for True Grit.
Gotcha.
They were both nominated.
Well, how about that?
Oh, how about that?
Well, how about that?
It was the first film also to win Best Picture as a sequel. So
it won Best Picture as a
it
sequel?
won Best Picture.
Oh, okay.
The only other sequel that has won Best Picture is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Well, honestly, that's what came to my head when you said, and maybe this critics review was pre-Lord of the Rings. I don't know when the critics consensus comes out and we say this is it. But to me, I was like, have you not seen any of, I don't know, the Toy Story movies are pretty great, or
Oh,
Lord
we're
of the
going to get into best
Rings?
sequels of all time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we are?
I've got a list.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
That's super fun.
We'll chat about
Yeah. Yeah. I just think I think that seems a little bloated.
Ooh.
I'm just all kinds of
I like this
good singers
feist.
tonight.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's get feisty.
Yeah.
Once you go to college, you get stupid. You're really stupid.
So there was a couple other fun little tidbits about Oscars as well. So Robert De Niro, I already mentioned, won Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
He beat two of his co-stars to win that award. Do you want to guess who it was?
For supporting?
For supporting. Pacino was nominated for Best Actor, did not get it.
Good.
And then De Niro won supporting
Okay.
against these two guys.
For the movie.
Yep.
For all the marbles.
For all the marbles.
Okay, I will say the guy who played Fredo.
Nope.
Okay. That was a dumb one.
No, that's not dumb.
Strasbourg.
Strasbourg's one of them.
Strasbourg's one.
Yep.
Hang on, I should go on them first. And then what about Tom?
Nope, not Tom. Tom was up the first time, but not this time. The other guy, you probably wouldn't get it. It's the guy who played Frank Pentangeli or whatever. The guy who has the raspy voice says, "Michael, why did you make me wait out here?" The guy who slits his throats. That guy.
Oh.
Yep. That guy is also up.
I just don't know that there's enough of anything for that.
Hey,
to
you
be
know who
nominated
else is
for.
up?
Who?
Connie. For Best Supporting
sh-
Actress. She doesn't win it.
She didn't have enough, but I would say she was good.
She was good enough to get nommed, though.
She was good enough
And
to
I'm
get
glad
nommed.
she got nommed and not Keaton.
Yeah, Keaton was.
Keaton's weak.
Yeah,
He's
what I'll say is sometimes Keaton has this thing too where she is kind of like that mousy kind of that character when she gets into conflict. She just plays that well is what I'll say.
Sure.
And I think a little bit of that came through, and I don't know that I wanted to see typical Keaton under fire.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And her go, and then maybe that's just like her kind of go-to.
Sure.
For conflict.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. Coppola, he wins Best Director, and then he does another movie that year that also was up for Best Picture called The Conversation, The Connection.
Cool.
It's something.
2 movies in
The
1
Conversation.
year. The
Yep.
Conversation.
Yup. It's got Gene Hackman in it. He is up for Best Picture for 2 movies.
Dang. Did he win for the first one?
He did.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
He did. Yep.
Oh,
he won
really
Best
should
Director
for the first
twice,
one.
and then he won Best Picture twice as well. So
Wow.
he's rocking and rolling.
Wow, wow, wee wow.
Yep. Killing it. It also won Best Adapted Screenplay as well.
Sure.
So, yeah, when it's
What
first...
about soundtrack? I think the music's so good.
I think
Anything
it is
music-wise?
too. Well, we saw in the credits that there's a Coppola who says...
Is a composer, right?
Was a
Or
composer.
yeah.
And it made me wonder, like, is that a family member?
Could be.
Because once again, if this is nepotism, I agree with it.
I agree.
Well, if you're going to do good work,
Well, yeah.
how am I going to complain about
That's
that?
great. What are you going to say?
Keep it in the family.
Keep it in the family.
So when it first releases, and this is kind of before it has widespread release, critics don't know how to feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of conflicted.
Sure.
And they didn't like the bouncing back and forth narrative.
Oh.
Like, I guess it was really choppy in its first iteration.
Okay.
And when it had a limited release, it had the original version of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then Francis Ford and the editors, they went in after this feedback from the first round of critics,
Mm-hmm.
and they changed a bunch of stuff. So by the
Ooh.
time it hit like a national release
Yeah,
and
the
it had gotten
mainstream.
into more theaters, they had swapped it out for this newer version.
Oh,
And so
sneaky
you can still see
deakies.
some of these reviews that are
Mm-hmm.
from the first one, that are a little bit less favorable. But then it's very favorable once people saw the widespread
Gotcha.
theatrical release. And it picks up a lot of steam and popularity in the years to come as well, and it's become like more appreciated over time.
Mm-hmm.
On AFI's top 100 list, I think Godfather was number 3, right after Casablanca and Citizen Kane,
Yes.
and before Devil Wears Prada. This one is
Yes.
number. Do you want to guess?
It's in the top 100
Yeah.
of all time
Yep.
of movies.
Yes. Nope. Not of movies. Not of movies, actually. Just of names. I like the part 2.
Part 2. 31.
Close. It was 32. That was kind of miraculous.
Oh,
Okay.
dear.
Oh, I really want to get into like is number 1 in your top 100 movies?
Yes.
Yeah, just split. Just
100
give me the gut.
is so hard.
Just give me your gut
I can't
reaction.
even. I'll
If
say
I say,
yes.
Rach, Godfather
yes,
Part 1.
it is. It's there. It's 35.
Oh, it's 35.
No, I just threw out a number.
It's top 50.
No, probably not.
I
I
don't-
don't know. It's too hard.
If I had to guess, I would guess Godfather's not in your top 50, but I bet it's somewhere in the top 100.
It's top 100, pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's my favorite mob movie.
Godfather Part 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just as a genre,
Yeah.
I've got to have one mob movie in my top 100. You have to, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. To be
Oh.
balanced, to be a Renaissance man, I need to have it all.
Sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Oh.
Yep. So if I told you AFI top 10 gangster movies, it's number 3. And here's what's ahead of it. Godfather 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then Goodfellas,
Mm-hmm.
and then this.
And then this.
Now is a good time for us to talk about where do you rank it with, obviously Godfather 1's higher than this one, is what I've...
Have you deduced that?
Yep, I've deduced that much. But now...
Was it when I told you it was my favorite gangster movie,
I
or
watched-
before that you deduced it?
There were a few hints. Now, I want you to compare and contrast it to Goodfellas and Scarface.
All right, I'm gonna Venn diagram this shit.
Yes.
All right, pretend I've got 3 circles.
Yeah.
And the middle part is where they all center around mob movies.
Okay, cool. Rachel's
Al Pacino's in the middle.
mob movies. Rachel's C. Yeah, I guess Pacino would be. No,
He's in a lot of them. He's in
Pacino
one
and
of the
De Niro.
circles that just circles between.
Pacino and De Niro share that center spot because then they get all the movies.
Yeah. Okay, where to start? Well, yeah, number 1's the best. I think I'm gonna stick with my lineup that we did yesterday. We talked about Scarface and Goodfellas,
Yep.
and I would say it goes number 1, Godfather. Number 2 would be Scarface, and then it would be Goodfellas, and then I would say out of those, the 4th one for me would be Godfather Part 2.
I agree with you, but that hasn't always been the case.
Oh, tell
There
me.
was a point in
Tell
time.
me when you
Now,
came to see
listen-
the light.
Listen to this. When I was in high school, there was a moment in time
No, you're gonna say it.
where I liked this movie more than the first one.
Yeah. How could you say that?
I don't know, but I'm not alone is what I'm going to say.
What?
There's a strong contingency of fans
Uh-huh.
that agree with me, and we're going to get into this in a second.
Okay.
All right, so let's just let this hang for a little bit, and maybe we can get into maybe why I thought this. Coming up later.
Oh.
Don't let that evaporate.
Okay.
All right, so some trivia though.
No, back to trivia. I want to get into this.
Okay, De Niro only says 8 words of English this entire movie.
Oh.
Everything else is Italian.
Very cool.
Yep. Hey, is Sicilian just a dialect of Italian? Like, it's not its own language, right?
I thought it was just a region, and you're
Yeah.
Sicilian, like it's a
Like
region.
Nebraskan.
Yes, like you could be Midwestern or you
No.
could be Nebraskan.
You can be Nebraskan.
Yeah, I think it's
Midwestern.
like that. Sicilian.
You're not Midwestern.
'Cause you're from the island.
Because if you're from Nebraska, then that means you're also correlated to people from Iowa, and you don't want that.
Don't be rude. Yeah, like you can be Venetian
Yep.
from Venice.
Oh, is that what that's for? I thought it was a place called Venetia.
Come on, history.
I thought there was a place in southwest Italy called Venetia.
Venetia.
I was telling Rach, Apollonia used to be a place back in Roman times, which is the name of one of the characters in the movie, in the first
Yeah,
one.
it's the name of his Al Pacino's wife that he marries in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when she
Yep.
gets blown up in the car? He's like, Apollonia,
Yeah,
no!
when Rach goes, I bet she gets blown up in that car soon, doesn't she? Gosh dang it.
Oh, I remember this.
So, I want to talk a little bit about Fredo dying,
Okay.
because this was a very contentious issue for the artistic team.
Okay.
Mario Puzo did not want Fredo to die.
Okay.
He said, that's not part of my original story. It wasn't part of his second book, The Death of Michael Corleone. It was, he just felt
Not called The Death of Fredo.
not the death of Fredo Corleone.
Nope.
It's he thought that killing Fredo put Michael too far into the dark side and there was no redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Francis Ford said Fredo has to die. He has to die.
Just look at him.
And-
Look at his hairline. He has
And
to die.
He wanted to kill him much sooner in the movie.
Yeah.
And Mario Puzo said, I won't let you kill him until after his mother dies.
I don't want anything to happen to him while my mother's alive.
Because if his mother dies, it shows even more disconnect for Michael. But if he kills Fredo when his mother is still alive and his mother has to mourn the death of one son by another's hand, there's no coming back from it. We will have a character that nobody will ever understand. And so Francis Ford eventually was like, okay,
not wrong.
I will go along with this. We'll wait. We'll have the mother die, and then Fredo's going to die.
Yeah, I think that for me is a misstep for call him Capello. Coppola.
Coppola?
Yeah, I don't think Fredo has to die.
I don't think so either.
I think it would be more compelling for him not to. I think you're right. I think he's too far gone. And he's already been too far gone this whole time from what we can see in his soulless dark eyes.
Yeah.
He's got shark eyes. He has you know what I mean by that?
No, explain shark eyes.
Like shark eyes, it's all pupil, it's all black.
Oh.
It's just soulless.
So he's got Michael Myers' eyes.
But you don't see Mike Myers' eyes.
Yeah, but they talk about him. They say all they are is black.
Oh, they do talk about that.
There's no color in his eyes. He's just black eyes.
Ooh, give it goosebumps.
Yeah. That's a good movie.
Yeah, Al Pacino's eyes in this are shark eyes. It's black soulless
Michael Myers' eyes, yeah.
Michael Myers' eyes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with you, but I think... Well, let's just get into it now. I think that's why I loved this movie more than the first one. Is I like
killed his brother?
Because he kills his brother.
Because he kills his brother.
He loves his brother, but he has to die.
I must die.
But there was something about that, it was almost like Game of Thrones-esque before Game of Thrones, where nobody's safe.
Sure.
Where
Sure.
he offs his own brother, even when he seems like he forgives him. That hug that they share after his mom dies, where you see Fredo's hand just wrapped around Michael, and that's such an emotional moment, but that doesn't even save him.
No.
That Michael shares the hug, but in his eyes, he even looks over at the guy.
Oh, you know.
And he's
he's dead.
He's still gonna
die at some point.
Yep.
We don't know when, but some point.
And so there's something about that I really dug back in the day, but now I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Is it because you love your brother now?
Hey, Trev, I talked smack about you earlier about Little Nicky, but maybe that's what we really deciphered is I used to hate you.
You're nothing to me now. You're not a brother. You're not a friend. I don't want to know you or what you do.
And now I really love you. Speaking of brothers. So James Caan comes back at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
He's in that final scene.
Mm-hmm.
He got paid more money to do that one scene than he did all of Godfather 1.
No way.
Yeah.
I loved that scene.
I did too.
I thought that was an excellent scene. Yeah, so at the end of the movie, and it's a flashback, which, again, and that's actually, and Al Pacino was back, and he was kind of his interesting self.
Yep.
Because he wasn't...
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, gonna sign up for World War II. Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah, and the family dynamic was back. I missed that in this movie.
The brothers around a table talking shop.
Yeah, I think that just, and there was just more humor in it, and more more characters, but actual, not just names, but characters. I think they were more, it was just more interesting to watch that little scene.
Yeah,
a good chunk of the movie.
I agree with you. And you were thinking, what did you say to me at the end of that scene?
Oh, so they were in the scene, they're getting ready. Dad's coming home. Dad being Marlon Brando is getting ready to come home for his surprise birthday party. And so they all run out off this set or off the scene or whatever to go say surprise. And I just so badly wanted Marlon Brando to come out one more time. Just one more time for just a little bit of money, please.
And to be fair, that's what Francis wanted to.
I'm sure.
They reached out to him, and Brando asked for an obscene amount of money.
Yeah.
And the offers that
as he should.
They sent him, he rejected all of them, and he said he wouldn't do it unless he got this amount of money in the studio, and Francis were like, that's just too much.
Yeah.
Because the studio was actually really easy to work with for Francis Ford on this one. They pretty much gave him everything he wanted.
Sure.
But this one, they just could not come to an agreent on with Brando. So that was the plan.
I mean, they had to pay so much money for Khan to come back, so that makes sense.
You
had to have Sonny there, so.
Yep. But it was. I agree with you. That scene's really lovely and a great way to end the movie. Because you see, it's like a flashback to an earlier side of Michael to compare and contrast, which I really liked and could have been really cool if we saw more of a journey for Michael too.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about Godfather 3.
Oh, okay, you're going to be on your own there.
No.
I don't know what we're talking
Rach,
about.
what was your favorite part of Godfather 3?
I never saw it.
No, tell me what your favorite part was.
My favorite part of Godfather 3 was when Connie takes over the family business and kills Michael.
No, my favorite scene in Godfather 3, though, does have to do with Connie.
Does it?
Michael So here's the plot of number 3.
Yeah, tell us the synopsis.
Number 3 is Michael is trying to make the family business as legitimate as possible. He's getting out of all the mob stuff. He wants to just live out his days. He's trying to push through this big deal with the church. There's a lot of church stuff in this movie. There's a lot of things that are nasty about the church, but how the church is kind of organized crime itself.
Okay.
And so they're trying to work out all these deals. Michael's still in charge of the family, but Connie brings to him Sonny's son, who is going to kind of be the new Michael. And Sonny's son ends up hooking up with Michael's daughter.
Ew.
Who's his cousin.
Those cousins.
It's gross. It's weird.
First cousins.
It makes no sense at all. And let me tell you the
How
worst.
old are they?
She starts off the movie.
Not that matters. It's
She
never okay.
starts off the movie, I think, around 18.
Oh.
And he's probably in his early 30s.
Oh, no.
Yep, maybe late 20s. But he's just like his dad. He's a hothead. The actor's pretty good in that. And then his son, Michael's son, wants to be an opera star, and so he there's a whole scene that takes place at an opera. It's super long.
Yeah.
So
I can
huge
see it
opera
now.
scene, huge church scene. Those are the two really long scenes that bloat the movie to holy hell.
Bloat.
But Diane Keaton and him kind of get back together.
Oh, Keaton's in it.
Because he's trying to become legitimate now.
Mm-hmm.
And the spoiler alert at the end of the movie, there's another thing with a bunch of groups that he has to take them all out or whatever, just like in both the other movies.
Yeah.
Only it's mostly Sonny's son who's doing all the dirty work, and he's kind of just knows it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But his daughter gets shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And his daughter is played by Sofia Coppola, who is Francis's daughter.
Oh.
And she, in a thing of
Lord.
nepotism,
Yeah.
is god awful.
Oh.
One of the worst actresses I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, geez.
She is so bad, it's laughable.
Oh, no.
And a lot of people
Oh,
agree
no.
she almost single-handedly ruins the movie.
Hi, Vincent. I remember you.
You remember me from where?
From the last time we were at a party together.
Did you come down to the club?
No, it was a wedding.
A wedding?
I was 8, and you were 15.
Well, I had a lot of girlfriends when I was 15.
8-year-olds?
Especially 8-year-olds.
You know, you haven't kissed me hello yet. Relatives always kiss.
Oh, no, we're related.
I'm your little cousin.
It was supposed to be Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder backed out at the last second.
Oh, dang. Should have
And
been
then
good.
they offered it to Julia Roberts, who turned it down to take Pretty Woman instead.
Get it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, but then he got desperate and he offered it to Sophia, who never wanted to be an actress. She didn't even want to do it. She did it for her dad.
That's hard. That's not fair. What are you going to do when your dad says, hey, I need you to do this for me? For the family.
For the family.
All right,
He's to
Dad.
do it for the family.
Oh, and then you have to get it lambasted.
Yep, just get destroyed.
That sucks.
But my
I feel
favorite,
bad
there's
for her.
two scenes that I loved in the movie. One is towards the end of the movie when Al Pacino, who's pretty good in it.
Yeah.
He goes.
Sounds more interesting.
He goes and meets this cardinal,
Mhm.
and he asks for forgiveness, and he starts listing off all his sins,
Mm.
and then he starts bawling uncontrollably when he talks about Fredo,
Oh.
and it's really sweet.
Yeah.
As he's like, I killed my mother's son, I killed my father's son, I killed my brother, I killed him, and I don't know, it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Go on, my son. I killed. I ordered the death of my brother. He injured me. I killed my mother's son. I killed my father's son.
There's that scene, and then there's a scene where Connie comes in, and Al Pacino's kind of a mess. Is also both these moments happen about 2/3 of the way through the movie. Connie comes in, and Pacino's just sitting in this chair, and he's really distraught. I don't remember what made him distraught, but he is. And Connie comes over to him, and she just starts hugging him and kissing his forehead and stuff. And she's like, "I'm always here for you. I've always been here for you, and I always will be." They share this beautiful moment, and she's kissing his Godfather hand, and burying her head in his hands and stuff. And you can just tell this is the only person he's ever been able to count on is Connie. Because Robert Duvall's not in it. His son is the character's son, but not Robert Duvall. He's gone now. But yeah, he's got Connie still.
Oh,
And she does
Connie.
great.
I wish there were more moments like that in this one.
Sure.
Because I think what it needs a good tearjerker moment. And
Yeah.
for me, I just didn't. There were things that could have been close to that. When he tells his brother who's betrayed him that And he kisses him, you know.
Yeah.
Fredo at the party. He
Yep.
says, oh, I don't know, what does he say?
He says, I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
Yeah. There's like, oh, well, maybe that's not like cry worthy, but like, you know, it needs something like that.
To me, the only moment in number 2 that gets close to that is the moment where Fredo is leaning back in that chair. He's like almost laying down in this like lawn chair style chair. And Pacino is like, you're cut off from the family and all this stuff. And Fredo goes into that whole diatribe
monologue, yeah.
about how he doesn't want to be like seen as a screw up and dumb, and like he has something to offer.
Yeah.
And he always gets thrown to like do these stupid tasks that he doesn't want to do, and nobody trusts him and everything. And like he needed to make him his own way.
Yeah.
He said there was something in it for me, on my own.
I've always taken care of you, Fredo.
Taking care of me? You're my kid brother, and you take care of me? Did you ever think about that? Huh? Did you ever once think about that? Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. Send Fredo to pick somebody up at the airport. I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted
It
it.
ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb. I'm smart, and I want respect.
I needed more of that.
Yeah.
That was a good scene.
That was a good
It was a
scene.
good
And you
scene.
know what? Michael didn't say anything. He just sat there and listened. And I was like, that is good. That was good right
that
there.
works for
Yep.
us.
And Fredo was really good in that
I
scene.
thought he was really good in that
That
scene.
was the best, I think, moment of the whole movie.
Yeah, best of Fredo, too.
Yeah, for sure. Nice, Fredo, bringing it. So Godfather 3 got a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, okay. Fallen very far.
Here's what the critics' consensus was. The final installment of the Godfather saga recalls its predecessor's power when it's strictly business, but underwhelming performances and confused tonality brings less closure to the Corleone story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said.
I can envision it.
Yep, it's worth a watch, but it's the first 2 are probably superior movies, even though 2 and 3 are closer than you think now.
Than what
like
you remember?
now that I rewatch them, it's like, oh, 2 and 3 are actually closer than I remember them to be for me now.
Funny how time does that.
Yep. It probably wasn't super popular though because it came out on Christmas Day.
Oh.
And it's the same year that Goodfellas came out.
Mhm.
And it also faced off against classic mob movie Dick Tracy. And it got beat out. It never was number 1. It got beat out because it was on the holiday season by Kindergarten Cop and a very famous Christmas kids movie that came out around this time, early 90s. I think this was 91 or 92.
Mm-mm.
No.
Home Alone?
Yep, Home Alone. Nice. All I do is done.
Dun, 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 dun. I knew where you were going.
So, did you notice in Godfather 2, there's lots of ADR or like post-recording? ADR is like you go back in the studio and you record your voice and then they sync it up to the picture.
No.
I
did not
I
notice
noticed
that.
it a ton.
Did
It
you?
was like they didn't get a good take the first time, so they just go
Sure.
into the studio and they re-record the sound.
Yeah, maybe they forgot to put mics on their actors and they're like, oh, we can't hear you. Oh, no, it's too much street noise.
I don't know. I noticed it especially with Robert De Niro.
Yeah?
There's
okay.
a lot of ADR moments. It's probably because, he's always mumbling everything.
Well, yeah,
He's
you
so
mumble
soft.
like that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
You pointed out they used the word mafia in this one.
They did. You had
They
told me last time that the mafia didn't want them to use the word mafia in it
Yep.
because it's an Italian word and because it's just a negative stereotype for them.
In the same scene, they used it twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I bet that cost them a pretty penny.
Oh, I bet it
Don't
did.
you think?
Otherwise, they'd be sleeping with the fishes.
Hey, how does the mafia feel about Godfather?
They love it.
Do they love it?
Super great. It's their favorite movie. Every single person in the mafia.
Yeah.
It's their favorite movies are the Godfather 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I was just checking.
Yep.
I was just curious.
And, well, there is a guy, Paulie Four Fingers. His favorite movie is Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
Polly Four Fingers.
So, you want to talk about best sequels of all time?
Yeah, let's get into sequels.
Okay. Do you have any that you think are on this list? This list is from Empire, by the way, but I also looked at Time Magazine did a list as well, but they're just not numbered. So these are on both
when we say
lists.
sequels, can that be a part of, like, say, like a Lord of the Rings? Like, it doesn't have to be like there was only 2 movies made, like a Home Alone's not a good example either. But
yes is the answer to that question.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
okay. So best of all time. Yep, I would put the Lord of the Rings in there.
Because do you think Two Towers and Return of the King are better than Fellowship?
I don't know if I haven't seen them in long enough to. I haven't seen them in long enough. I haven't seen them in a while to be able to definitively make that call.
That's got to change.
Let's change it.
Not this season, but that's going to change.
Yeah, I need to just watch them again to make sure.
Okay.
I don't want to give you false pretenses.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
So
I know you feel that way.
To think what?
I know Two Towers is one of your faves.
I think it's really good. If you take all those false finishes out of Return of the King, I think Return of the King is also super, super good. I think Fellowship's excellent though too. I think they're all three.
Start it off.
I think they're all 3 terrific. So I'm not going to choose favorites out of those 3.
Oh, you're just not going to do
No,
it?
3. Just like Penny and Giz, even though Giz is my favorite.
Well, now you give it time.
I know because we talked about it. I don't even know if podcast listeners know we have a new puppy.
We have a new puppy. Tangent, real quick.
Yeah.
Pause. Yeah, we got a new puppy like 3 weeks ago now.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, you guys. She is adorable.
She's so cute.
So cute.
And so energetic.
Yes. I thought you
More
were
energetic than Giz, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad you went with energetic. I thought you were going to say naughty, and I was going
No,
to say
she's
no,
not naughty.
she's not
She's
naughty.
actually really sweet.
She is. She's super sweet, but high energy. High needs.
Yep.
We are working on it. Like today, she slept. I don't die. She slept through the movie. Now, granted, we only watched like an hour and a half of the movie,
Hour
but
15.
she slept through it.
Yep, she did.
So that was great.
Yep.
Yeah, we're working on it. We'll get there. We'll turn her into a lazy little lapdog.
Yeah.
That she's bred
That's
to be.
what she's supposed to be a lazy lapdog.
Yeah. Well,
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
So, best sequels of all time.
Okay.
What else do you think besides Lord of the Rings?
I think. Well, it's hard because I would say Toy Story, but I wouldn't say the sequel for Toy Story, like number 2, is not the best of all time. But as a saga, if I call the Toy Story saga,
Sure.
that's good.
Yeah. It's funny because one list had Toy Story 2 as better, and one had Toy Story 3 as the best.
Yeah, that's what I would
Yep.
say.
I say
as
3
as
is
a
the best.
sequel, as a second or comer up, or I would say 3.
Quick, rank the Toy Story movies.
3, 1, 4, 2.
Same here.
No!
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Tricky.
Other sequels. Cars 2.
Fast and the Furious.
You know what's funny? Fast and the Furious was on this list.
Yeah, they were.
Fast and the Furious, the one that they said was the best, 5.
It's 5.
Who knows?
We need to watch those at some
I
point.
know. I keep
That'll be a
saying,
good time.
Watch one a day for like a whole week.
That's all. Yeah, you're
Boosh.
right. Boosh. That's it.
Gear up
It's
for
low commitment. Gosh, what else is out there?
RoboCop 2.
I haven't seen
Highlander 2.
it. How about like Lethal Weapon? Probably.
Lethal Weapon 2 is a blast, but Lethal Weapon 1's also really great.
Yeah. Home Alone.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
It's very fun.
None of these are on the list, by the way.
I know.
At least
I'm having a really tough time thinking of movies that have multiples.
Okay. Well, let me run through them.
Okay. And
All
I'll
right.
tell you if I've heard of them.
Number 7. I'm going to count down because I'm going to use Empire's list because they ranked them.
Very good.
Time just said movies.
Yeah. No. Rank them.
Number 7. Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, duh. Can I have another shot
But
at
also,
this?
I want you to.
We got
I want
Star
you to say.
Wars. We got Harry Potter.
Do you think that is better than the original?
Well,
Go ahead and say yes or no on those. I mean, you
Um,
could talk more than yes or no. So only say yes or no. Say more than yes or no.
Maybe. It's
Just
been
gut,
so long.
Just gut it, baby.
I'll say yes.
Okay.
I'll say yes
I
for
agree
that
with
one.
you. I think it is. Dark Knight. Number 6.
Yes.
Better than Batman Begins.
Yes.
I agree.
That's easy.
Number 5 on this list. Toy Story 2.
No.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Toy Story 3.
Fact.
Yes. Fact. Not an opinion. That's reality.
That's better.
Yep. All right. This is one. I don't think you've seen the original, so this is going to be hard for you. Mad Max Fury Road.
That was the second one, was Fury Road?
Well, they did Mad Max, then Road Warrior, then Thunderdome, and then Mad Max Fury Road they said is better than the
Yeah,
original
I'll be
Mad
honest.
Max.
I don't care enough, so it's a wash for me.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Okay.
I think Mad Max Fury Road's really great, but the original Mad Max and Road Warrior are also really fun. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yes.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's number 3
Yeah.
of best sequels of all time. Number 2, best sequels of all time, better than the original. This is their argument.
I like how you keep repeating it because it's helpful to remind ourselves of the criteria.
Yep.
Go on.
Godfather 2.
No.
I agree with you. Not better than
False.
number 1. False on all accounts.
False.
And then the best sequel of all time, according to Empire, is Aliens. You've seen Alien. You haven't?
I don't think so.
Oh, Aliens kind of scary.
Yeah.
Aliens is all action, baby. It's like Starship Troopers on a spaceship. The whole time.
What was Starship Troopers on the spaceship too?
No, it was mostly on that bug planet.
Oh yeah.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's almost like some of those, like, they just didn't make a very good movie just in general. And like, oh, so you got it right the second time. It's like, I don't know.
You didn't think Dark Knight
I was
or
mostly
Batman
thinking about
Begins
Mad Max. I don't know. I've never seen it. So I
Mad
can't
Max
say.
is good.
Mad Max was good.
It
Hey, come on now.
Mad Max is good.
It probably is. I just haven't seen.
think you'd
I haven't
like it.
seen the originals, so.
Well, there's a lot of car chase stuff, and you don't like
you
car
know how I
chases.
feel about car chases. I think
But
I
that
said
was-
it on the last
It's
episode.
the same with Fury Road. You would hate Fury Road then too, but you saw it.
Well, I liked the remake.
Because you like Charlize Theron.
The remake was very interesting, but it wasn't just like car chases the whole time. There was interesting. It wasn't Fast and the Furious, is what I'll say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, why do you want to watch all the Fast and Furious movies then?
Oh, just for fun. Seems like something to do.
So, any scenes that you'd like to chat about? Any acting that you would like to diagnose even farther?
No, I think we did. I think we hit everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just a reminder, for Godfather Part 1,
Yeah.
you said it's 89% for you.
Mhm.
I said it was a 90%,
Yeah,
tied
we
with
were
Terminator 2.
We were so close.
We were, because I changed it at the last second. So now, Godfather Part 2,
Yeah.
which you just heard, best sequels of all time, sequels that are better than the originals.
No.
People said Godfather Part 2.
Who are these people?
And I actually looked up quite a few
Empire?
sources, and they were talking about it, and they were like, yeah, Empire, Time Magazine.
Time Magazine.
Time
said it?
Magazine said all. It was like 25 movies, but they weren't ranked. Sequels that are better than the original. It was the title of the article, and they had
way.
Godfather there. They said because the dual storyline, the continued growth of the story of Michael Corleone, taking what the first one did great, and even though it doesn't have all the iconic moments, but telling a more compelling story. This was according to them. And I just don't agree with it. I think number one's just full of all the fun.
Yes. Yes, 1,000 times. Yes.
Okay. So, what percentage would you give Godfather Part 2?
Do you want me to do it like I normally do it?
Yeah, do your review. Here, let me give you my percentage first to
Yes.
kick us off.
Go for it.
I dropped it from a 90% down to a 71%. That's where I was sitting. So it's like below Predator, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what else. Definitely below Scarface.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. My review. Holy cannoli, we're back for more Mob Mania. That's a fun
You
one,
could
right?
tell that you had more time or you put more effort into
I
this
did.
one.
I actually
Because the first time she was like, oh gosh, I forgot I have to do a review. And now this one, you're like, got it.
I put effort into this one.
You start at the beginning again because it's so fun.
Holy cannoli, we're back for more Mob Mania. While the brother betrayal is fascinating, Part 2 leans heavily on the world created by Part 1 and does little to introduce new characters, concepts, or arcs. 50%.
Ooh, rotten.
No, over 46% is...
What?
What?
What? Wait. What?
Maybe for you.
Rach, did you think that Rotten Tomatoes, if it's over 46%,
I
it's
don't know.
fresh?
I had 46
Why'd
in
you
my
pick
head.
such a specific number?
I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes did that. It's
No.
always been 46%.
No, it's not. It's 60%.
It's 60%?
Yeah.
I don't want to make it rotten, but like in my
But
head it's not rotten, but it's a 50%
Do you know
on my list.
Do you know the movies that you had around it?
I did a minute ago when I looked them up.
You can't tell us right now?
Well, I can't remember.
Hold on. I can find this out. Okay.
It's above
Double Dragon. Why would you do that?
It's just barely above Double Dragon.
Yeah, but you need to bump Double Dragon. Double Dragon's 45%. You know that's not real. In your heart of hearts, you know it's not a 45%er. Change that right now. Change it right now. Give me your gut feeling. Double Dragon, what's the score? What's the score? What's the score? Do it.
No, it's 45%.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's
you
a bad
dirty rat
movie.
liar.
It's fun, but it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's so fun. It's not 45%.
It is.
Up that score right now.
I won't. You can't make me. What did I have right above
Mortal
this
Kombat,
one?
23%.
Well, not the new one.
What's the new one?
It's put in the 60s.
It better be fresh.
Okay.
It better
okay.
be. All right, what did you say for this one? You said
50.
50?
50%.
No, you said 46.
No, I said
Oh,
50.
yeah, that's what
you
thought.
said 46.
That's what you thought.
I
Rotten
thought
was.
it was fresh. What's
50% is right above Bridget Jones' Diary and
yeah.
below Save the Last Dance.
Those are really excellent films. They're very fun and
Yeah.
very rewatchable. This is not rewatchable. I should probably make this even less. I'll leave it at 50.
Above Bridget Jones' Diary.
No, barely. I don't like it though. I think Bridget Jones' Diary is better than this.
So then drop it.
Well, I can't now.
And up Double Dragon.
What I'll say is I love the old story in this. I love the prequel.
Sure. Me
I
too.
want that
Me too.
story. I mean, I think that storytelling is cool, jumping back and forth. But if I had to pick one or the other, that's what saves this film for me is all of the prequel stuff.
I actually think that they didn't need to, they took just the right amount of time telling the prequel. I didn't need it to be faster paced or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the new age stuff, the contemporary stuff that was too bloated.
So bloated.
Yep.
Yes. Agreed.
Oh.
There was several times where I was like, don't need this scene, don't need this scene, don't need that shot.
Did you get that those guys that he was hanging out with at the end of the movie, that he got into the mob stuff, Vito, Robert De Niro, that those were Clemenza? That was the fat guy who makes the pasta and shoots the guys in the elevator?
I didn't get it at the time, but that doesn't surprise me that we should have had, this is, because that's, you
That
would
was
come
fun.
up with somebody.
I just found that out doing the research. I did not get that in the movie.
No,
That
they
was-
probably said it too,
the
but
guy-
we just don't know the names well enough. Or I don't know the names well enough to be like, he knows
So
him.
the guy who's eating spaghetti and
Yep.
who rolls up the rug, that's Clemenza. The
Okay.
guy who goes to the movie theater with, and he's like, that's my honey or whatever.
Uh-huh.
That's the weird tall guy who gets killed at the end of number one, who has got
yeah.
the weird ears, the really
Yep.
tall guy who betrays the family.
Sure.
That's that guy.
Well, here's the thing. Neither of those actors, the younger actors, looked significantly like the older ones.
Yep.
You should have picked
That was my
a
problem.
bigger guy for Clemenza
Yep.
and a taller guy.
Yep. Agreed.
Again.
Agreed. Yep.
So,
But fun little fact.
shame on you casting.
Shame on you. Shame on you for Double Dragon.
Don't bring in Double Dragon. We're talking about Godfather Part 2.
We're going to do
It's
another
50%.
rewatch. We're going to have the same facts.
Rewatch.
Same stuff. Only this time I'm going to prove to you Double Dragon's better than 45%.
It was enjoyable.
I think I gave it 70.
I don't have
I think
to-
I gave it the same score as
It
Godfather
doesn't
Part
matter
2.
what you gave it. That's your...
Exactly. That's why I'm so perturbed by this. It doesn't matter what I gave. It matters what you gave it. You gave Mortal Kombat a 23%. Shameful
terrible.
scores. Shameful.
So... We're not getting into it.
All right.
Listeners, go to those episodes. If you want to hear more, get into it.
And then watch those movies and come up with a better opinion for yourself and write to Rach hate mail. You can
dare
find
you.
her at
How
rachel.hudson
dare
at
you.
northfieldschools. Get him an old email. Anything else, Godfathers, to wrap up?
No, I
Movies?
thank you for this journey.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the time.
Do you recommend both? One? Do you recommend...
I recommend one.
Yeah, and just leave it at that?
Skip it. Take the one, leave the two. You got it.
I got it. Awesome. Well, Rach, we're going to kick it to you for the next couple episodes.
Yes, now I get,
You're gonna do a
I
two-parter,
get two
right?
in a row. It's not going to be a two-parter like yours per se,
Yep.
but there will be some commonalities.
Divine
between
Comedy
these...
of the Yaya Sisterhood 1 and 2.
No.
Is it Divine Comedy, by the way?
Divine Secrets.
Divine Comedy is Dante.
No, we're not
Yeah.
watching that film because that's a bit too niche and nobody knows it. So I'm just going to torture you with that secretively another time.
I'm never going to watch that movie.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
No.
I'm going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you that we're going to podcast about it, but we're just going to watch it. And then I'm going to get you in the closet and I'm going to, ha, gotcha.
And if that were to happen, I'd say, sit your buns down. We're not having no trivia. We're just going to talk about it. Which I kind of do think would be fun.
Maybe
to
like
not do any of the research.
A little like
and
20-minute like
response.
spew fest. Response. Call and response.
Yep.
No, to kick off my portion of the season. Do you want to know what we're going to do first?
Yeah.
Do you?
Wait. I mean, do you have anything else that you're going to lead up suspenseful-wise?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. What is it? She has such a shitty grin on her face right now.
Slightly water down now, Zig-a-Zag.
Spice World!
Spice World!
Never seen this movie. Always kind of wanted to. Can't wait.
You are in for a treat.
Yes. Hey, on the way, we're going up to Rach's family's cabin. I have the Spice Girls album, I think, in that CD case.
We should.
We're gonna listen
we
to
need
it
to.
on the way up.
We need to.
To get
for
in the mood.
sure. Yes. All right, listeners, join us next week. Let me bite it down now. Zig-a-Zag.
All right, Rach, go. Go now.
Why do you have to do that? I hate that.
Go.
You go.
You go or
You
die.
go. You say something
No,
clever and witty. Come
Oh,
on.
You say it.
Hey, say it.
Hey, say it
out
now.
loud. Hurry up.
Not your boyfriend, hurry up.